Welcome to Recovery Inspired Hope. Tonight, I have a special episode for you. If it wasn't enough to have one Jamie, I brought you another one. So we have two Jamies here on the show tonight. We're going to be talking. She's going to be sharing her experience, strength, and hope in her program of recovery and her pathways. So thank you so much, Jamie, for coming, for being willing to share your recovery story out loud, for your boldness and courage. Thank you so much for being here. Where are you from?
I am from a little town in Oregon called Warrenton. It is just a little coastal community close to Portland.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever interviewed somebody from Oregon, so I'm interested to know and how recovery out there is. So that's awesome. And so how long have you been on your recovery journey?
Well, I would say my journey has been about 10 years, with chunks of substantial clean time and relapse as well. I'm going on a 7-year run now. Thank you. Yeah. So
awesome.
About 10 years.
Great. So tell me a little bit about your story before you got sober.
Okay. Well, I guess I grew up in a very good, normal, both parent, blue collar family. And then I had two older brothers. I started hanging out with their friends, normal stuff, not for my age, but for theirs, smoking pot, drinking, that kind of stuff. But I ended up getting involved with an older man and getting pregnant and getting married at a very young age. It was either 17 or 18.
Okay.
Or no, it was either 16 or 17. I want to say, because I was underage. My parents had to okay it.
Wow.
So I must have been 17. Yeah, because I had Austin when he was 18. And then my husband went to prison for selling lots of weed. We had a lot of weed. We got in trouble. And so I was by myself. I met this guy. He took pills. So I tried it. And then it was just that for a few years. And then obviously the lockdown on the oxys. And so I started doing heroin, and immediately intravenously, later on, I switched to smoking it because it was, better, or whatever. And then I lost my kid. So I started using, I maintained for a little while, and then my son had to go live with my mom. And then about,
how old was your son?
He left to go live with my mom when he was 7.
What was that like for you to have to to give your son to your mom?
It was really rough, and I honestly had all intentions of it being a very, very short time, but then when you have free reign, and no responsibility, tomorrow never comes. You're always going to do it tomorrow. And then you wake up tomorrow sick, and then tomorrow never comes. And so I ended up meeting another guy. We got married, and I got pregnant, and I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 7 months pregnant. And I was full blown, the most ever, using the most ever. And I was on the run from my probation officer at this point for probably 8 months. I knew if I went to jail pregnant, they were either gonna find something to charge me with, take my baby. I would have the baby in jail. They'd take the baby, you know, whatever. So I stayed on the run the whole time. And my midwife told me, you know, if you stop using now, you'll kill your baby. So she switched me to methadone.
Because you were on pain pills.
I was doing heroin.
Oh, yeah. You were doing heroin? Okay.
Yeah.
Our stories are so similar. I mean, I was on Roxy's, not heroin, only because I didn't have a heroin connect, not because I didn't want to. But yeah.
Well, you know, your story with the doctor or whatever is the same thing that happened with my doctor. He was selling pills if you slept with him out the back. Well, he got in big trouble and went to prison in Washington. And so that was everybody's connect. And so in one way or another, you know, and so, yeah, the heroin went crazy then in my little town. But so I went into labor in Astoria and drove all the way to Portland, which is a 2-hour drive, full blown labor, thinking my name would be different. I don't know what I was thinking, that they wouldn't find me. But obviously with the way that me and my husband looked and my mother-in-law that came with me, they UA'd me.
They what you?
What was that?
What did you say? They did what to you?
They UA'd me and the baby.
What does that mean? What is UA?
Urinalysis,
a
drug screen.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so obviously we were dirty, but I had that prescription from my doctor, you know, but I also had other things in my system, marijuana and stuff, not legal at that point, enough for them to run my name and find felony warrants out of Washington and Oregon. And so I went to jail, but was able to work with the Department of Human Services and get out to a rehab when my baby was 2 weeks old. He stayed with my cousin, and I went to a program with him 6 months, and baby was given right to me when I got out, stayed with me or whatever. I managed about 8 months of clean time. I got out to a husband that was strung out the whole time I was gone, trying to save our baby. And I managed 8 months and relapsed. And they took him from me right away. I was like, second baby down, you are a complete piece of shit. You know, you will never be a mother. You have, you know, a second chance, you know, and that was his name. His name is Chance. And so then I had to suck it up eventually and sign over. You know, at this point, my first son is with my mom on guardianship only. And now there's this other baby. The state has helped me. So now they want to know about the other one. I had to sign over my rights to my mom. That was the worst day of my life. Other than when she called and asked me to change their name. That was a really rough day. But so, and then after Chance went to live with my mom, I went to prison in Washington for drugs, selling drugs. And that was only 18 months. And the day I got out, I didn't go see my parole officer. I immediately went on the run. And that lasted almost 2 years. And I got picked up just from getting pulled over with my boyfriend. And they took me to jail, found out about the warrant, about me not checking in, and Washington agreed to a bail. Wow. And so I called my boyfriend right away and said, you got to get down here and bail me out. These idiots are going to let me out. And because I was there on new charges also because of the drugs, and when they found drugs in the stop or whatever. And he bailed me out. I went on the run again, and we got stopped in a car that we paid for all summer, made payments on all summer. This guy bought dope from us. We thought, okay, you know, whatever. We get pulled over in this car that we paid for, and it was stolen.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I have nothing on me because my boyfriend has beat my ass and taken everything I own and thrown it off the bridge. And so we're in his car. He has a backpack in the trunk, and no record. And when we get pulled over, he is driving, and they charge me with a possession of a stolen car, and the drugs in the backpack, and him. They charge him too. But I am in this horrible domestic violence. This man, I think I need to save him. He has no record. I'm already screwed. I'm 13 felonies in. I've been to prison. Like, I'm probably going back. Like, I'm going to take these charges, right? Yeah. So I'm being held now on my probation hold. Yep. And now I'm being held on the probation hold. He just gets booked and released because he has no record. So they're already booking me dockets and court appearances on these charges. And I plead to them 40 months, possession of a stolen vehicle. And because of where I was on the grid in Oregon, I got more time. And I go on the bus. I find out I'm pregnant. Wow. And this is kind of where God shows up in my life. I fell to my knees in that cell, and I just said, I cannot do this again. I wanted to be a mom more than anything, but I knew where I was. I knew how long I was going to be there. And I knew where my other kids were, and the pain and suffering I've already put them through. That does something to a mom, you know, other than the other stuff, is knowing that you're hurting your kids. And so at this point, I also think I'm hepatitis C positive. Already was told at a county jail checkup that I had hep C. And so I tell the OB at the prison, what are we going to do to save my daughter? And they do the test, and there's no enzyme. My liver enzymes are so low that somehow it was just gone. Wow. Yeah. And so anyways, I had lots of people praying for me when I was in my stepdad is a pastor. And so I had lots of people praying for me. And I felt it. Yeah. And I felt supernatural. But I got involved in a program in Coffee Creek Correctional Facility in Oregon. Only 8 mothers. There's only spots for 8 mothers. And I was able to have one. I was able to spend 20, 30 weeks. The Department of Social Services helped me so much while I was there. My family was in South Dakota, and I'm in Oregon. And so there wasn't a lot my family could do. And so they really facilitated a lot for me. And it was a Head Start program, mother, parent as teachers program. It saved my life. And so, yeah, I got out and have been good ever since then. But, Ella, but, you know, that having her in such a dark place, her dad left me there, answered my collect calls for maybe 3 months, you know, and then found his next hot thing, and left me there. And the moment I got out and turned on a Facebook account, he thought I was going to get right back, you know, like forget that. And although I keep that relationship open for my child, when I go to Oregon in the summer, you know, they get their visits or whatever. Although I keep that open for her, it really makes me sick to have to, you know, because anyways, the trauma, it's still really real. Once you get sober, you just actually have to feel it. You don't get to numb it no more, you know? So,
so what if you,
and so now I'm good. It's me and my daughter. I work at a university. I'm a cook. I've been there 5 years. I travel in the summer.
Awesome. And so what about do you have relation with your other 2 children?
Yeah. So when I got paroled from Oregon, I went straight to South Dakota. And so when you said the recovery community in Oregon, you can get loaded as much as you want in Oregon. It's legal to do drugs in Oregon. And so I would get out and want to stay clean. And there was no groups. There was no halfway houses. There was no treatment program. Oh, well, there is one. It's on intervention for like the rich people, but not for me, you know? And so the financial resources in that county for drug treatment were none. And so when I paroled, I knew I needed a change. I knew I needed a brand new beginning. And so my boys were living with my mom and her husband in South Dakota. So I paroled here. I lived with them for about 2 months, got my own place. And I had to deal with DHS when I got out, the Department of Social Services for my daughter. It took about 6 months to get her here, but they flew me from South Dakota to Oregon twice to see her during that, you know, last little transition part. But yeah, so I'm still here in South Dakota. Stop now, please. And I thought I would come here until I felt good. And I would love it and I'd stay, but I miss home. My job affords me to be able to go back to Oregon once, maybe twice a year, for visits. But as a single mother, that gets no help from the state or child support or anything like that, I can't afford to live in my hometown. What I pay for here is half the price, and it's bigger. Wow. And I make more money here. So I stay because I can give my children a better quality of life here. And also back home, I think about going back home, and it's here. It's my memories of being 10, 12, 13, 14. And that's not my hometown anymore. There's homeless camps everywhere and people doing drugs on the sidewalk, you know? And so when I kind of ground myself and remind myself of that and think about the life I do have here and have been able to create here, I'm very blessed.
So how do you now work? How do you work on yourself and work through the trauma and rebuilding? Because I know when you're in a domestic violence relationship, it's like your self-esteem, self-confidence just gets like beat down, beat out, you know? So how do you work on yourself now in your current situation?
Yeah. You know, at first, it was almost like every time I'd have to do a visit or be nice to her dad, like I was being smacked in the mouth every time, just being nice to him, because I know how it's working in his head. He's like, oh, I've got her, because I've been single for 7 years now. I haven't moved on. So I know in his mind, he's thinking, I still got her, but really he's messed me up so bad that I've had to use this last 7 years to figure out why that relationship happened in my life and figure out why I was willing to let that slide for so long and what I'm not going to tolerate from anybody in the future. And so I think now I've moved past that feeling of being reoffended. And I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry because with him, it was meth, lots of meth. He thought it was okay that we would do the meth because I was a heroin addict. He saved me. He wouldn't let me do heroin or he'd beat my ass. But I was doing it behind his back, but it was okay that we did meth. That was normal and okay. He thinks this. And he also thinks that if I just moved him here to South Dakota to be Ella's dad, he just wouldn't do that. And so
better. We know how that works.
And so it's almost, and I don't know, it's almost like when I see him, I don't know how much, like, he wants me to tell him that there's a chance. And so at the beginning, I told him, you know what? You stop smoking dope and call Ella on her birthday. Christmas, give me 1 year. Call her on her birthday, Christmas, send her something in the mail. It doesn't matter. You can get a regular envelope with one stamp and write one little letter to her. Something. Give me 1 year and call her every 2 weeks in FaceTime. And if you can do that, then yeah, I'll come pick you up right now. You show me you can change, because I believe people who hit their wife deserve a second chance. I think you don't always have to be a woman beater. I think there is some people that might be, but I think some people have an anger problem and it can be worked on. And if you want to show me that you deserve a second chance, who am I to say you don't get a second chance? I've had a million. But he's never been able to do that.
Well, I'm proud of you for setting those boundaries, and not just for yourself, but for your daughter also, because, she does deserve to have, if he's going to be there, then he should be there. You know what I mean? So I'm really proud of you for, not settling, for knowing your worth, and for taking these 7 years and working on yourself and developing those standards, because guess what? Now you get to be picky. You get to be choosy, because you don't need a man to complete you. You don't need to have another person. You know what I mean? Between you and God and your children, and your beautiful, loving, mother and stepfather, you are very well more than, full of all the love and compassion that you need. So that is amazing. Do you have any piece of advice before we go about to any women out there who might be in a situation similar to yours, that you could give them a word of encouragement?
I would say just keep trying. It took me 10 years of trying and falling 30 days clean, 90 days clean, 60 days, all these coins, and then falling and trying and falling. And never in any of that 10 years did I feel sound in my recovery. Even when I had 2 years, I still was wanting and just not. But if you keep trying, it comes. And so that's all I would say. Just hold on, it will happen.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm so excited. I would love to do a second talk with you. Maybe we could possibly do it on a live or something where we can, speak to, women and these issues. I think that would be so helpful. I think your experience is, so powerful. So thank you so much for being bold and brave and courageous to share, to help somebody else. You could truly save somebody's life by your testimony. So thank you so much. And for all of you out there, thank you for watching Recovery Inspired Hope. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube, and we will see you next time.